Griff, how many of your players are you expecting, Wales players, are you expecting to feature on Friday night?
All available as far as we're concerned, and most of them involved in the training sort of process on day one today. So there's a few obviously considerations we've got to weigh up, mental, physical, and square a few things off with them in terms of the understanding of what we want to do. But as always, willing and able, and looking forward to the rest of the year. He'll train on Wednesday. Again, we'll probably make a late call this week in terms of where we are selection-wise, because of perhaps obviously the issues with certain players, and we want to give him every opportunity. But he was thereabouts in terms of being around our training paddock. He did a couple of little extras today, so if we can push him through on Wednesday, and we've got some conviction in him being 100% for Friday evening, and we wouldn't compromise that, we'll have a look at it. Yeah, it did. I and a lot of other people here probably had their heart in their mouth, but it was just luckily for us and for him, it was just something minor that he was able to shake off, albeit perhaps a few days too late to be considered for last weekend. But yeah, it gives us a boost because obviously he's been in fine fettle, and we want our big hitters to be available for the rest of the year.
Griff, the people who are leaving, how will you use those? Will they have a central role over the rest of the season, or will you be looking to introduce guys who will be around next season?
As long as we've got something to play for, we'll be looking to put the best possible players on the field that we feel fit us getting the win in that week, and that starts with the Blues this week. We know in terms of the league we have got a little margin for error, but we want to put our best 15 on in terms of this game, and hopefully the theme continues for Glasgow and so forth. So they've been big players for us in the past, and I don't see any reason why that would change if we've got something to play for.
Players like Justin and Dan Biggle, Dan Biggle, they haven't had a lot of rugby, so they should be quite fresh for the rest of the season, shouldn't they?
Yeah, it is obviously an extreme example is someone like Alan Wynne has had a lot of game time, and we have to manage that. And again, we're always mindful of the individual, but no, we've got other people who are itching and ready to go, and Dan and Justin have been out there doing extras today, within 48 hours of an international, and they just want to be immersed in our next point of game reference, which is the Blues on Friday.
Just on Alan Wynne, he's obviously played a lot over the last 2 years. Martin Williams yesterday suggesting that perhaps he should be rested this summer. He's committed to the Ospreys. I mean, what do you think to somebody in his workload? What do you think would be the best for him maybe going forward this summer and next season as well?
Yeah, I think Martin, had a real good point. He's someone who's been there, done it year in, year out. He knows, that I think you have got to manage people individually. And as I said, he's someone who we're very mindful of. And as a skipper, he's always at the forefront of things we do. And as a person, he wants to be there week in, week out. But sometimes we have got to perhaps take that decision away from him in terms of when he needs rest, and he'll have a bit of downtime in a couple of weeks with us. But also I think discussions have to take place about getting these guys to peak for a major tournament such as the World Cup, and how we can play a part in between that as well.
Would that be difficult? Someone telling me not going on the summer tour, Alan Wynne will be the sort of guy who wants to go and play every match, isn't he?
Definitely, yeah, and I think he's obviously, I think these guys are mature enough, and Alan Wynne's been around to be consulted about the process as well. But as I said, sometimes it's about the professionals trying to look after him for his long-term betterment, and he's been doing this a long time, but I see him doing it for a long time ahead as well. So it's about the best balance for him in terms of peaking for the next World Cup, but also beyond as well in terms of what we want and internationally.
Just with Justin, it sounds like he's got a good chance for the rest of the season here, but also in South Africa, Justin's a good starting 7. Yeah,
I guess he has. That won't be his thought process though. He just wants to come back and play. He obviously he loves the game itself. He loves what we're trying to do in terms of developing our game, and he just wants to get back on the paddock and play a part.
Griff, if Alan Wynne does go to South Africa, would you like to see him as captain in the absence of Sam?
I hadn't considered it really in terms of there's been good options in the past in the Welsh camp, Alan Wynne being one of them. It's Gethin there as a senior figure in terms of going on these type of tours, but I couldn't comment. He would fit the leadership criteria, without question. He ticks so many boxes, but as I said, it's perhaps mindful of what's best for Al really in terms of what we're looking at. I think discussions got to take place there.
How did you think you played? Yeah, an outstanding game, didn't you, last week?
Yeah, I mean, look at his numbers across the tournament, and they'd match up to any second row in that competition, I'm sure. And he's coming back for more. And as I said, he's been doing it for a long time, and people have got to respect that. And I've said in these sort of conferences before, for me, he's always an 8 out of 10 player. He's not a player who goes from a 9 to a 5. Every week, getting 8 as a sort of standard measure for him, whether that's at regional level, international level. And to do this for so long, the manner he does it, as well as the leadership traits he's got, he's a fine quality man and player.
Yeah, is he going to want to play on Friday night?
Yeah, all indications are. And as I said, he's the one player who didn't take a full part today. He just observed. Because as I said, we've got to be mindful of the load these players have. But again, it's just something we said earlier. Try and tell him he's not playing. And you probably have a strange face from Al, and rightly so. Because he knows also, in terms of us trying to push for something we want to achieve. And as I said, we won't give up on anything. And if there's something to play for, the best players go out there.
The Blues, I mean, the director Rugby's gone, and they've got new people in charge temporarily. They're down the bottom. What are you expecting from them on Friday?
There'll be a bit of fire about them. To be fair, when Chief came in, first of all, I thought he had a real mark around the defensive game, and they beat us in the LV competition down at Liberty, so they might have a template there where they think they could come and get some points off us. And I think Paul John has added to some of their attacking game once he's come in. So I think they'll get the best balance between them about how to attack us, but how to perhaps deal with us and take some of our fire away, and how they can impose their will on the game, so to speak. And I think for them as coaches, people I respect hugely, and I know the players down there respect them hugely. I'm sure they'll be looking to get a response, and as I said, having done it in the LV, they'll want to perhaps move up a notch and do it in the Rabo.
How difficult is it going to be, Griff, for you to make the playoffs then?
Yeah, in some ways, we're looking round at other games, which you certainly don't like to do, but 6 games to go. We want to keep developing the style of rugby we've been looking at, and it hasn't been perfect. We've dropped points, especially around the international windows, but overall we are, scoring a lot of tries. We're the top try scorers in the league, so we want to make a statement how our game has evolved and how it'll keep evolving in terms of the future, but within the sort of bracket of these 6 games, putting points on the board as a regular feature of our game.
Can you afford to drop any of them?
You couldn't predict other games, but our focus is on being as perfect as we can be, I guess, and that looks at the style of rugby we want to play, but also how physical we need to be in these games. And even though we're obviously missing big hitters in international periods, we felt in that aspect of the game we've probably not been as good as Osprey sides have in the past. And even though the team is changing, we still need to keep the mindset that Osprey sides are big, tough and tough to beat. So we want to get the best of everything about what we do.
Arnold Dirksen was quoted yesterday saying he'd like to tour with Wales this summer to South Africa. How do you assess his chances?
I said around the Christmas period when he came back strongly that given the lack of resource in some ways and how thin the regional squads are now, someone of Hanno's quality, should appeal nationally. But having said that, he's had complications since. We have to manage his training load, and we're very protective of Hanno's future in the game and looking after him accordingly. So it's another one where if he can show some form, discussion should take place. But he's probably got to keep a consistent run of games for us towards the end of the year.
How is Eli?
Eli's just in a good period of rehab at the moment, and we're just looking forward to picking up a full summer's work with him. Obviously, he had a good summer last year, the latter half of the summer. But if we can get a full summer into him as well, and probably not accelerate it too quickly, we're going to be measured about what we do with Eli. And again, he's another player that we want to be an Osprey for a hell of a long time ahead. So we're not looking for the quick fix about Eli's recovery.
Andrew Bishop he's out for the season, presumably, is he?
No, not necessarily. He's making some good recovery in terms of what he's doing in his schedules. He's doing a bit of extra skill work with us at the moment. He's done a little bit of contact, and obviously another one who's got a lot of resilience and durability about his attitude to the game, and he's pitching to be fit for possibly the Leinster game. No, nothing. I mean, as and when, obviously, officially, we put things out there in terms of the proper process. But no, we're just good to go with these players on a weekly basis for performance.
Griff, have you finished recruiting for next season, or is that an ongoing process?
It's an ongoing process, and clearly there's a link to, ins and outs, potentially there in terms of the budget we've got and what could be there. But we're definitely looking to strengthen, certainly around the front five area. We're looking at what's available, what potentially fits different budgets as well, knowing that there's a scenario A, B and C. As a backline, there probably won't be much more to recruit, albeit we tend to look around the development avenues and just exploring a few things there. Not so much about quick fix for next year, but for the long-term betterment of our group, we'll continually look at some projects.
How important Dan Bigley in these finals of 6 games, and how do you think he went on the weekend?
Yeah, great at the weekend. I think obviously the game opened up nicely, and he's a shrewd judge of where to attack and where the space may be. And he got excited about the opportunities that were there on the weekend for him. But he's a key figure for us, but I just obviously respect the fact within 48 hours of international, he's banging my door down first thing. He wants to know what the key messages are for the Blues week. He wants to know what it means for him, what he needs to do, and how he's going to integrate himself fully to make himself perform, but also crucially the team perform. So, as I said, if he just picks that up week in, week out, and yeah, he's going to be a key component for this week and, as we've seen before, in the running.
How important is it, Griff, for Wales to have a side in the playoffs?
I think historically, it's you look at us being there in the past. Scarlets clung in there last year. I think at the moment, I think the sort of standings reflect where the regional game's at. We're just hanging in there, and that is clearly representative of perhaps our financial restrictions as a country and as 4 regions compared to the other sides in the competition. Whereas in the past, you could say strong, healthy sides are pushing for honours. Us in particular, it does help the national cause. But at the moment, we're a little bit by the wayside, and I don't think it's unfair to say that we're just waiting on things to happen that will help determine the future betterment of us and other regions for the next 5-10 years. At the moment, we're just in a little bit of a void, and we don't know where we go. We'll retain our own ambition for the next 6 games, and hopefully it can push us to a playoff place. But I think the regional game is vulnerable at the moment, and I think we just need to get some solutions.
Do you see any light at the end of the tunnel?
You sort of hear rumblings. I think a month or so ago we were told that European resolution was near, but from my point of view, we seem no nearer. I'm as educated as the man on the streets, so I don't know, to be honest. But as I said, we can just deal with the hand we've got and keep trying to challenge ourselves to be as successful as we can be, but hopefully know exactly what we're going to be in as well next year.
Given that, if you do qualify for the playoffs, it'll be some achievement then, I guess, is it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we obviously started the season in fine fettle. We've just dropped points around the international window. Look at 5 losses there, when the reality is we've got good guys, good youngsters trying their guts out, but we're thinner than we've ever been, and we've lost points in and around Munster home, Glasgow home, to perhaps bigger, better, more experienced sides. Ulster away, Edinburgh away last time out. It's disappointing, but it's reality. We're trying our best, but perhaps we are outgunned. So in that respect, you could say it would be a fine achievement on the back of what we've lost personnel-wise. But we don't want it to be a hard luck story. I've got to be clear that we still retain the ambition that whoever puts that Osprey shirt on, we'll try our damnedest, and we have faith in what we're trying to do here.
First to visit were Newport Gwent Dragons, and they were sent packing from the Liberty after the Ospreys ran in 4 tries on their way to a fantastic victory. At the start of January, the Scarlets came to town for the second leg of the festive doubleheader, and they too were beaten by the Ospreys. Cardiff Blues come to Australia on Friday the 21st of March for the final Liberty Stadium Welsh Pro 12 derby of the season. Get your tickets now and make sure you don't miss any of the action. Ospreys versus Cardiff Blues, Liberty Stadium, Friday 21st of March.